Hello friends, now in this session we are going to discuss about the occupational health under the industrial hygiene and occupational health topic. So we are going to discuss about what exactly the occupational health means, what are the different definition of this occupational health, especially as per the WHO. Nowadays WHO is known to every person. So World Health Organization, and then what are the diseases related or under this occupational health. So we are going to focus mainly the diseases which can occur due to the contact and which are occurred generally in the industries. So what are the causes of these contact diseases? What are their ill effects on our health? What are the diagnostic methods? Then there are different concepts like biological monitoring to measure the different parameters under these diseases control or prevention methods. Then how to evaluate the injuries. Then what is the role of that factory medical officer in that industry? What are the legal provisions which is related to the diseases as well as related to the factory medical officer or certifying surgeon. So we must know each and every parameter before starting the preventions or before starting the actual treatment of that particular disease. So as we know that we are facing the pandemic situations, that is COVID-19, and nowadays everyone is alert related to his health. So how to prevent this coronavirus? If in case you are positive in that RT-PCR test, then what are the methods to control? What are the treatments? And then again, after COVID also, what are the preventions method to avoid the other diseases? So likewise, in a similar manner, there are different contact diseases which can occur in the industries, and that is why we must know about the occupational health. Generally, most of the people in industry are focusing on the production area, on the technicalities, on administration, on HR, etc. But each and every person must know about this occupational health. So let us discuss what exactly the occupational health is. So it is eventually a branch of preventive medicines which examines the relationship between work and health and effects of work on the health of the worker. So it is going to examine the different medicines, different diseases, then the relationship between that particular or a specific work, why this particular diseases occur, whether it is related to that a specific work or not, or it is due to the particular duration or contact time, or due to some chemical exposure, etc. Then what is the health effect and how to control that disease or how to care about that health of the worker. So this is about the basic definition about the occupational health. Another definition, it includes all factors relating to the work and working conditions, methods and environment that may cause diseases, injuries or deviation from health, including maladjustment to the work. So there are a variety of factors on which this work and work conditions are depend, and from that point of view we can predict that whether this disease is occur due to these working conditions or due to this chemical exposure or due to the particular exceed time of duration, etc. It implies not only health protection but also health promotion for improving the health and working capacity of the worker. So it is not only focus on the treatment aspects of the diseases, but it also going to help for the health promotion policies. So that may be applicable to all the department, all the industries in that area where a particular disease is occurred. So preventive measures against diseases, improvement of nutrition and general mental health. So these are some of the factors related to the health promotion policies. Nowadays also we are also bothering about our immunity, how to improve that immunity. Likewise, in a similar manner, we have to take a particular nutritional diet, and then we have to follow some guidelines for the yogas or for exercises or for the mental health also. So these guidelines can be provided by that medical officer or that certifying surgeon. As per WHO or as per the ILO, that is International Labour Organization, the definition of occupational health is occupational health should aim at the promotion and maintenance of the highest degree of physical, mental and social well-being of workers in all the occupations. So whatever maybe the occupations is, but we have to take care about the physical health, mental health and the social health also. So all these combined together form a promotion and maintenance policy of this occupational health. The prevention among workers of departures from health caused by their working conditions, the protection of workers in their employment from the risk resulting from the factors adverse to health. So in some of the places, in specific department, in some of the specific processes, there might be some specific diseases may cause, or there may be a specific risk, that may be a physical hazard related risk, that may be a chemical hazard related risk, that may be a noise related risk, or whatever it may be. So if there is a risk, then you have to provide the information related to that risk, how to reduce that risk, how to prevent that risk, or how to prevent these types of hazards. Likewise, we have to convey all this information to other workers also to protect their health. The placing and maintenance of the worker in an occupation environment adapted to his physiological and psychological ability. And to summarize, the adoption of work to man of each man to his job. So indirectly, the definition of occupational health as per ILO or WHO indicates that you have to take care about the health of workers in such a way that he or she should feel comfortable while working in the industries. So for that purpose, we have to focus in all these areas. That may be a prevention, that may be a protection, that may be some treatments related to the physical as well as psychological abilities. It includes medical examinations of workers, their health records, placements according to health conditions, and adjusting work to man and man to his work. So to maintain all these things, to promote all these health policy, we have to go for the medical examination. Generally, that is at least once in a year, sometimes it is twice in a year, depending on the conditions and the type of industry. So we have to maintain all this health record. Nowadays, the health card is there. Nowadays, the records are maintained on the computers, that may be maintained on the clouds, so everyone can access from anywhere. Then placement according to the health conditions. So if the worker is fit for the heavy work, then only he has to place in that area. If he is not fit physically or mentally, then he has to give a light work so that the ill effects or the adverse effects should not be there on his or her health. So depending on the conditions, depending on the health records, we have to decide, we have to transfer, we have to change the working policies also. So it is teamwork of chemists, safety professionals, industrial hygienists, and doctors. So for all these things, we have to combinedly work. So sometimes we have to test, sometimes we have to go for the biological monitoring. Then we should take the help of chemist. If there is some specific legal provision is there, some legal guidelines are there, then we have to focus on the safety aspects which are related to the acts or rules. In case any notification from the Department of Industrial Safety and Health or from the state and central government, then we have to guide to all the workers related to that. So that is the work of safety professionals. And when it is related to the hygiene, then that guidelines should be given by the industrial hygienist. And there may be a part-time or full-time doctors or medical officers which are present in the industry premises. They are taking care about the different tests or different biological monitoring guidelines or the treatment with the help of some medicines. So these are the different persons who may involve under this occupational health. So now we should focus on the diseases under this occupational health. So generally the diseases are occupational lung diseases. So it is related to the lung. Then it is a dermatitis. So it is related to the skin. Then respiratory illness. So it is related to the respiratory tract. Then MSDs, that is musculoskeletal disorders. So it is related to the muscles and our bones. So we have already discussed in detail regarding this MSDs. Then there is a disease related to the hearing loss. That is mainly due to the noise. Then cancer. So variety of cancers are available, and depending on the conditions, depending on that particular chemicals, we have to take care about this cancer treatments. Then stress and mental health disorders. So sometimes there may be a work pressure in some of the industries. Sometimes the pressure or the work is normal, but some persons are taking these stresses or the pressure from that work environment. Then infections, diseases. So there may be some infection due to some conditions. So these are the variety of occupational diseases. We are going to discuss some of these occupational diseases, mainly which are occurred in the industries. So the one of the lung disease, that is the common one in the industries. So normally this dust is the main cause for these lung diseases. And if the dust is going to deposit in your lung through the respiratory tract due to the respirability or suspended particulate matter, then we have to take care about these diseases. So some of the type of dust which can be inhaled by the person is quartz and mixture containing quartz, then asbestos and mixture containing asbestos. Variety of applications are there for this asbestos. That is why asbestos is used in many industries, but nowadays it is banned or some substitutes are insisted for this asbestos. Metals and metal compounds. So mainly the heavy metals are involved in these cases. Then plants and animals, that is organic dust. So that is especially for the industries where the plants and animals are involved. Then other dust, so that may be some dust which may be categorized depending on the characteristics or the size of the particles. So these are the variety of dust due to which this occupational lung disease may be causes. So we will discuss in detail what exactly these dust examples are and their causes or the effects. So this is quartz. So like coal dust is example of this quartz, mineral ores, that may be a quartz and their mixtures, then sand, rock, then fluorspar, quartzite, etc. So these are the different examples of these quartz and their mixtures. So they are found in, especially in the mining area, ceramic industries, refractories, pasteurizing, mixing, and insulating materials. So these are the sources of this quartz dust. And due to this quartz, there may be a chances of fibrosis and silicosis. So if the fibers are present in that working conditions, and if you are not wearing a proper PP, that is called as respiratory PP, which can absorb these fibers or these silica in that area, then you may face these diseases like fibrosis due to fibers in the environment and silicosis due to the silica in the environment. Then asbestos. So the examples are raw asbestos, then crystal, then amphibole asbestos, cement, talc, etc. So these are the different asbestos derivatives. So it is used in near about 3,000 products in the textile industry, insulation industry, packing industry, jointing, and building material. So especially if you remember that asbestos sheets are the common one in India especially. So nowadays these asbestos sheets are replaced by some other materials due to this disease, because due to this asbestos, when it respirate by the person and when it is deposited in the lung, then asbestosis diseases may occur. And due to this asbestosis, the lung capacity or the lung pumping capacity is going to reduce. So the causes may be the different uses in these different industries, and due to that fibrosis, carcinoma, asbestosis, and talcosis may be the diseases related to this asbestos. Then metals like iron, nickel, lead, manganese, aluminium, beryllium, chromium, cadmium, vanadium, and their oxides are extensively used in the metallurgy, metalworking, welding, electroplating, furnaces, sintering, etc. So these are the different operations which may need a metal or their metal compounds. And due to this, there may be a chances of irritation, diffuse fibrosis, different types of lung diseases like siderosis, bronchial carcinoma or asthma, then tracheobronchitis, aluminium lungs, etc. So these are the different examples and their health effects on the health of the worker, and that depends on the conditions and the type of dust which is available in the working environment. The fourth type of dust is plant and animal dust. The examples are wood, then animal hides, skin, hair, feathers, scales, cotton flax, hemp, sisal, jute, moldy hay, straw, cereals, bagasse, crushed grain, bran, enzymes, etc. And they are found in the woodworking conditions. So this wood is related to the woodworking conditions. Likewise, these different examples are related to the agriculture industries, poultry industry, textile industry, grain industry, sugar industry, etc. And the health effect is that may cause irritation, immune reaction, carcinoma, allergic rhinitis, bronchial asthma, and farmer's lung, bagasse, and biocinosis. So these bagasse and biocinosis are related to the lungs again. So most of the related are to the lungs only. So other dust in this type is that may be a carbon dust, a soot dust, graphite, phthalic and maleic anhydride, and arsenic dust. So these are the specific chemical dust which may found in the mining, metallurgy, rubber, plastic, and chemical industry. So due to this chemical dust, that may cause irritation, carcinoma, systematic effect, ulceration, conjunctivitis, and graphite pneumoconiosis. So all these chemical dust are related to the, especially in the chemical industries, and they are all hazardous industries. So this is the table which can guide you related to the type of dust and the lung diseases. So like quartz, especially it is the type of compound like silica, and due to this silicosis may the disease caused. Then asbestos is one of the compound, and due to this asbestosis may be the disease. Like talcosis or some bronchial carcinoma, etc. And likewise for the aluminium, for the beryllium, for the cadmium, for the chromate, from the chrome oxide, some hard metals, iron oxide, and manganese oxides. So we have discussed some of these diseases, and additional one is CNSLD. We will discuss it later on. So these are the different dust and their related lung diseases. So this is CNSLD, that is chronic non-specific lung disease. So it is a chronic disease, but non-specific lung disease. So the biological effects have been well established and have recognized specific illness due to this specific dust. So for example, silicosis due to the silica, siderosis due to the iron, biocenosis due to the cotton dust. So it is related to the CNSLD. So due to that specific element, that particular disease may occur, and if it is a chronic disease, then it is called as CNSLD. But where there are no specific clinical picture, the case is referred as CNSLD. The types of effects are fibrogenic, carcinogenic, systemic, toxic, allergic, irritant, and skin effects. So there are a variety of diseases or the effects on the health. So we can observe these effects. We can give some of the treatments. Like carcinogenic means which can cause an cancer. Fibrogenic means which can cause a fibrosis due to the fibers. So there may be some allergies, there may be some irritations, there may be some skin effects, etc. So we have to observe all these things that may be the effects due to the CNSLD. Then how to control this dust? So we have discussed variety of dust and variety of diseases due to that dust. How to control this dust now? So there are some guidelines for controlling this dust, like know the exposure limit of dust. So we have to check the local or the state or central government, or that may be an international level exposure limit. So normally it is called as permissible exposure limits, PEL. Sometimes it is called as threshold value. Sometimes it is called as in terms of milligram per meter cube, or in ppm, in TLV, IDLH, etc. So we have to check all this value, what exactly the maximum permissible value. So dust below 5 micron size is invisible. So if the micron size is less than 5 microns, then we can't see these dust, but that dust may be a respirable. And that is why due to the RSPM category, that is respirable suspended particulate matter, we are going to inhale this dust and that may deposit into our lungs. Then depending on toxicity, exposure limits vary from the 0.1 to 10 mg per meter cube. So toxicity is another criteria. So sometimes the toxicity is defined in terms of LC50, LD50 values. Sometimes it is in terms of TWA, TLV, IDLH, etc. But the range is 0.1 to 10 mg per meter cube. And we have to also refer the second schedule of the Factory Act 1948 related to this exposure limit of dust. So likewise, in other countries also, we have to check that particular reference or the latest rules and regulation for the exposure limits. Then employ the effective measures based on this safe limit and nature of the dust. So we have to execute some of the practices to control all these chemical exposure or the dust exposure with reference to the related regulations or the laws. Then elimination of dusty process. Example, improved casting technique to eliminate the dusty fettling process. That is another guideline for controlling this method. Then the other guidelines are substitution. So we have to go for the substitution. For example, if the asbestos is used in the industry, then we have to substitute this asbestos by the less toxic chemical. Or sometimes some operations are also there which we can substitute by the other operations. For example, the shot blasting in place of sand blasting. So due to sand blasting, there is a silica, and due to which silicosis may be the disease. So we have to replace this sand blasting operation by the shot blasting operation. Then metal molds in place of sand molds. So we have to replace this sand again, means we are going to replace this silica by the metals. And glass fibers or slag wool in place of asbestos. So these are some of the examples of the substitution method for the dust controlling. Then there may be a separate guideline like a segregation and enclosure. So we have to segregate, we have to separate these different dust, and then we have to enclose that particular conveyor, that particular process. If you enclose this particular process or the conveyors or the storage, etc., then obviously that particular dust is not going to occur or available in the working environment, and we are not going to inhale that dust, right? So enclosure and segregation is also one of the method. Then wet method. So if you spray the water in a different part or in a particular part where the suspended particulate matter or this dust is present, then we can control this dust by settling these dust particles with the help of water. That is called as spraying method or wet methods. So nowadays, some of the dry methods are banned in some of the process industries, but wet methods are allowed. The main reason is that due to this wet method, we can control the dust. Then local exhaust ventilation. So LEV is another option. So where the dust is produced or where this dust is available, we have to absorb this dust with the help of this LEV technique, that is local exhaust ventilations. So we can combine all these LEV points on a particular exhaust fan or the exhaust system, and in this way we can avoid the particular area that is called as workers breathing zone. So we can avoid this dust from this area with the help of LEV also. So these are the different techniques which can be adopted for this controlling the dust method. Then another disease is occupational dermatitis. So dermatitis is the term which is related to the skin. So an inflammation of the skin produces dermatitis, which is the most common skin disease. The part of body most exposed is affected first, so it starts on the hands. So mainly our bare hands is the major body part which can be directly contact to a particular machinery surface or a particular area. So with some dust and fumes, the first sign may appear around the eyes, neck and face also. So these are the weakest part of our body, and that is why these signs or the symptoms are initially appeared on the eyes, neck and face. So the disease can be caused by many chemicals, apparently harmless substances, including all the forms of mineral oils, including diesel, lubricating oil, fuel oil, etc. Some specific chemicals due to which this dermatitis is caused, like alkalis, chromate, dichromate, synthetic resins, etc. And some of the categories like solvents, like thinners, degreasers, such as white spirit, paraffin, triethylene, then turpentine and petroleum products. Sometimes in industry, we are using this tar pitch and other coal products also. So due to which also, due to specifically phenol and cresol family, or due to soot, this dermatitis may occur. Sometimes in the radiation, that is normally we are using the X-rays or CT scan, etc. So due to these equipments also, we may face a radiation on our body, and dermatitis may be a cost if you are doing these things in a frequent manner. Then friction, particularly when dust or gets between this clothing and the skin. So due to this friction also, there may be a chances of this dermatitis. So this is the causes, or due to what chemicals this occupational dermatitis may occur is discussed. It is a preventable disease, but that should be timely diagnosed. Like a COVID itself, that if you diagnose COVID in an initial stage, then the treatment is easy, and that can be prevent in a next stage also. In a similar way, we can prevent this occupational dermatitis, or we can control this occupational dermatitis. So some of the guidelines for these preventive measures are engineering measures to control these harmful agents by various methods, then pre-employment or pre-placement medical examination, and sorting out the workers having some suspected dermatitis or predisposition to the skin diseases, and keeping them away from the jobs. So some workers are already having some allergies, some workers are having some skin diseases issues, and if they are again exposed to a particular environment, then that disease or that particular allergy may be converted into the occupational dermatitis. So we have to check the health records of that worker also. So before pre-employment, in the employment, and after post-employment, the medical examination requirement is there with reference to the Maharashtra Factory Rule 1963 as well as the in Factory Act 1948. Then use of necessary PP and barrier creams. So in some of the areas, especially where the dust is available, some chemicals are available in that environment, then we have to use respiratory type of PP. So like the gas mask, so gas masks are having some adsorbent. So for example, if the adsorbent in such a way that they are going to adsorb the solvents, so we have to use that particular gas mask which is having a solvent adsorbent, then only it is suitable for that working environment. Likewise, you can utilize the other PPs, especially when I am talking about the respiratory type of PP, and in some of the cases, especially confined spaces, you may need SCBA, that is self-contained breathing apparatus, so which can supply the fresh oxygen, or sometimes you may need a fresh air rather than that contaminated air in that specific area. Then we have to take care about the personal hygiene. So adequate washing and bathing facilities with warm water, soap, nail cutters, and clean towels. These are the simple guidelines, especially for the industrial hygiene and personal hygiene. Then periodical medical examination of workers and transferring the job of the affected workers. So periodic medical examination is the need of hour. It is already provided in the legal references also. And nowadays, we are also maintaining the health records on the computers or the cloud platform for accessing anywhere from any point, right? So we can easily check the health records in the of the previous year or previous 5 to 10 years also for that particular health worker. The next disease is occupational cancer. So it is a form of delayed toxicity. So serious in clinical course and outcome due to exposure to the chemical or physical agents. So that chemicals are called as carcinogens. Carcinogens means the chemicals which are having the potential which can cause the cancer in the workplaces. Carcinogenic substance means a substance we already discussed which can cause the cancer, and the area or the methods may be a inhalation, that may be ingestion, that may be a cutaneous penetration, and if that particular chemical is entered into the body, then there may be a chances of cancer if the frequency is more. It caused an increased incidence of benign and malignant neoplasm or substantial decrease in the latency period between the exposure and onset of neoplasm in human or in experimental science, as a result of which any exposure which induce tumors at a site other than the site of administration. So that cancer may be diagnosed by the doctors or the person in a late period also. So we have to take care about these carcinogenic substances and their potential. As far as this ACGH is concerned, that is the American system, that is American Conference of Governmental Industrial Hygienists, which are mainly focusing on the industrial hygiene. So this is the body which are always going to focus on the research and development activities related to the industrial hygiene. So as far as this ACGH is concerned, the carcinogens are classified in the 5 categories, that is called as A1 category to A25. So A2, A3, A4 and A5. A1 means confirmed human carcinogen. It means due to this chemical substance, the chances of cancer is 100%. That is why it is called as confirmed human carcinogen. A2 category is suspected human carcinogen. Means there may be a chances. The person may be a suspected cancer person. So there are chances now. Then A3 is animal carcinogens. Means due to this chemical substance, due to the exposure of this chemical substance, there is a chances of cancer in the animals. Then A4 category is not classified as a human carcinogen. So due to these chemical substances, the cancer cause or the cancer chances are negligible in the human. And A5 is a not suspected as a human carcinogen. So there is no observations, no reports for these particular substances. That is called as A5 category. So not suspected as a human carcinogen. So these are the different categories of the carcinogenic substances as per the ACGH guidelines. Then how to prevent these cancer causing substances or the carcinogenic substances? So the first or the simple step is not to use these substances. If it is possible to substitute, to absolute or to eliminate all the substances uses in the processes, then we have to go for that. If it is not the case, then research to find safe substitute. So we have to find some other substitute. For this case, that may be a toxic again, but less toxic and less potential to the cancer as per the first carcinogenic substances. So that should be developed. Then the third option is to eliminate the contact. If it is not feasible, if it is not possible to eliminate the use of that carcinogenic substance, if there is no substitute for this carcinogenic substance, then we have to avoid the contact of that particular substance with workers. So that is the way. So employing closed systems of work, that is the different conditions for avoiding this contact of this substance. Then work environment monitoring, biological monitoring, and keeping the exposure far below the permissible limits. So we can control these uses of these carcinogenic substances by various monitoring. using PPE, that is personal protective equipment, then following safe waste disposal methods. These are the different options which is available to avoid the contact of worker to that carcinogenic substance. Then another preventive measure is avoiding personally susceptible workers at the time of recruitment. So we have to check. That is why the medical examination is necessary before the pre-employment. So we have to avoid these types of workers if it is the case or the chances of the dermatitis or other types of cancer or likewise diseases. Then rotating workers exposed to the risk and thus reducing their exposure time. So this is another good method that is called as rotation. So we have to rotate these workers after 1 hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, whatever it may be. But to reduce this exposure time, to reduce this permissible exposure level, we can go for the rotation method. Then advising to stop smoking and to improve personal hygiene. Then this can reduce your immunity and there are chances of different diseases which we have discussed in the earlier slides. Then referring serious cause cases to the cancer hospital or oncosurgeons. So the surgeons or the doctors which are giving the treatment on the cancers, we have to refer to the persons or the doctors for the serious cases. If it is the initial state, then that can be diagnosed in the initial stage in the periodic medical examination in the industry itself, and there are most of the chances that this cancer can be treated if it is the initial stage. Now this is the slide which can give you the idea regarding the legal references for these types of diseases. So in the Factory Act 1948 in India, the third schedule gives you the list of notifiable diseases with reference to the different sections and their provisions, like 89 section, which gives the provision of notice of certain diseases. So it is related to that diseases again. Then section 90 is related to the power to direct. 91 is related to the power to take samples, and 91A is related to the safety and occupational health survey. So these are the different sections and their provisions which are involved under the Factory Act 1948, which is related to the diseases. Then with reference to this section 89 and 90, the third schedule is prepared and the list of notifiable diseases are mentioned. So first disease is lead poisoning, that may include the preparation or the compound of lead or their sequel, then lead tetraethyl poisoning, phosphorus poisoning or its sequel, mercury poisoning or its sequel, then manganese poisoning or its sequel, then arsenic poisoning or its sequel, poisoning by the nitrous fumes, carbon disulfide poisoning, benzene poisoning, including poisoning by any of its homologous, their nitro or amino derivatives or its sequel, then chrome ulceration or its sequel, then the anthrax, silicosis, then poisoning by the halogens or halogen derivatives, then pathological manifestation due to the radium or the radioactive substances or X-rays, then primary epitheliomatous cancer of the skin, then toxic anemia, toxic jaundice, then oil acne or dermatitis due to the mineral oils and compounds, then biocinosis and asbestosis. Then some 9 additional notifiable diseases are also there. But from this name itself, you can understand this particular disease is due to that particular element or that chemical or that compound or their derivatives. For example, arsenic poisoning means it is due to the arsenic compound. Silicosis is the disease due to the silica compound or silica element. And likewise, these are the other lung diseases also, like biocinosis, asbestosis. So biocinosis is the lung disease again, due to the fibers, especially the cotton fibers or the textile fibers. And asbestosis is related to the asbestos fibers. So likewise, some other diseases are occupational or contact dermatitis. So there are two types, that is primary irritant and allergic sensitizers. Then noise induced hearing loss, that is exposure to the high noise levels. Then beryllium poisoning, carbon monoxide poisoning, coal miners pneumoconiosis, then phosgene poisoning, then occupational cancers, isocyanates poisoning, toxic nephritis, etc. So these are the 29 list of notifiable diseases with reference to the third schedule of Factory Act 1948. Then as per the ILO, that is International Labour Organization, the list of occupational diseases are mentioned with reference to the ILO recommendation number 194. That is disease caused by chemical agent. So that is the occupational disease category with reference to ILO now. So the different compounds like beryllium, cadmium, phosphorus, chromium, manganese, arsenic, mercury, lead, etc. So these are the different chemicals due to which the disease may occur. The second category as per ILO is disease caused by physical agent. So like noise. So due to noise, there may be a hearing loss that may be a permanent or temporary, and due to the vibration also, there may be a Raynaud's finger issues or the diseases, or it is also called as white finger disease. And likewise, there are variety of diseases due to various physical parameters. So that may be due to the ionizing radiation, heat radiation, ultraviolet radiation, or due to extreme temperatures like sunstroke and frostbite are the different examples. That may be a very high temperature or very low temperatures. Then the third category is disease caused by biological agents. So due to biological agents also there may be a disease. For example, respiratory disease, pneumoconiosis, then bronchitis or bronchopulmonary disease, occupational asthma, etc. Then fourth category is occupational cancer caused by particular element. So asbestos, asbestosis. Likewise, there are different specific compounds due to which this particular cancer is caused. And then minor nasturtiums. So these are the different 5 categories which is defined by the International Labour Organization as a occupational diseases. So this table gives you the idea related to the occupational involving risk of occupational diseases and their diagnostic method. So for example, this is the lead. So we know that in previous years, in many years, we have used lead in the petrol, and then after the substitute of lead, now we are using unleaded petrol. So this lead is used as a anti-knocking agent in the petrol, and that is why that lead oxide is created in the IC engine, because we are using this fuel. Then fuel and air is combined together to give you the combustion process after ignition, and then this heat is generated and this heat is going to convert into the kinetic energy. So in the combustion process in the IC engine, this lead is oxidized, and that is why lead oxide is there. So likewise, there are a variety of compounds related to this lead, and the occupational involved are alloys, ammunition lead, batteries, lining, rubbers, then lead burnings, then paints, ceramics, insecticides, etc. So these are the different applications of this lead. Nowadays, again, the lead battery is famous. Then signs and symbols. So if there is a lead poisoning, then worker may give you some symptoms like the weakness, then insomnia, then motor weakness, muscles tenderness or impaired fertility, abdominal pain, lead line on genital tissues, etc. So these are the different signs and symptoms due to the lead poisoning. So what is the diagnosis for this lead poisoning? So we have to check the history of that person. We have to check the health records of that persons. And again, we have to check the PB, that is nothing but the phlebum, that is the lead again, in the urine, in the blood, in the different levels. So all the levels are also given. In the urine, this PB should be greater than 65 micrograms per liter, or in the blood 30 micrograms. Then for 100 ml, then zinc protopyrin levels greater than 3 micrograms per gram in HB, that is in the hemoglobin. So we have to check the blood sample, urine samples, etc. for checking the lead availability in your body. Likewise, phosphorus, mercury, and manganese, these are the different examples where these heavy metals may be enter into your body with the different processes or different routes of entry. So we have to check the occupations involved, signs and symptoms, and the diagnosis should be followed. So what are the diagnostic methods for these types of diseases? So we have to test the person with the help of some different methods. That may be a general medical examination, that may be a specific test for that workers with the help of some chemicals, that may be a physical test, that may be a biological test, and that may involve different occupations, work environment, work methods, protective wears used or not used, then some personal habits, etc. We have to check the history of that person, history of the family members, etc. And then we can identify what exactly the root cause is. So these are some of the general guidelines for this diagnostic methods. So what other diagnostic method guidelines are there? So the simplified guidelines are medical history and audiometry and their records. Audiometry is related to the noise. So for checking the hearing loss, so sometimes due to the compressors working or due to the blower or fan, etc. So noise is generated, and in that atmosphere, in the working environment, there may be a chances of temporary or hearing loss. So for that purpose, we have to check the hearing capacity of that person, and that test is called as audiometry. Then there may be a clinical examination. So normally we are using this test like blood, urine, feces, lung function, and stools, breath, FVC test, plasma, hair, nails, liver function test, that is called as LFT. And we may also follow the eye examination, biological examination, and radiographs, etc. So in the medical examination also, there may be a specific test like hematological test, that is pre-employment, then spectrophotometric test, periodic analysis, then measurements of FEV, post-sickness, pathological test, retired workers cardiogram, or sonography, etc. So depending on the condition, depending on the signs and symptoms, we have to go for these different diagnostic methods. Then to control all these occupational diseases, we have to use the health services. So there are provisions of these occupational health services and medical examination in the industries. So what exactly these occupational health services are? So it is operated to achieve the statutory declared aims of occupational health by the medical and technical measures. So whatever the guidelines provided in the different rules and regulations or from the various departments which are related to the occupational health, we have to follow all these guidelines. We have to implement, execute all these tests or follow the specific rules and regulations in our industry. So its role is mainly preventive and to give the first aid and emergency treatment. So the first priority is to give the preventive treatment, and if it is not controlled, then we have to go for the first aid treatment, and if it is again the serious case, then we have to treat as an emergency treatment. So it is certainly useful in early detection So for all the cases, early detection is the key parameter for all the types of hazards. So especially we are talking about this occupational hazard or occupational health. So for occupational or non-occupational diseases or any maladjustment of the man-job relationship, early detection is the main key. So what are the services are there in the industry that is called as occupational health services? So that may include the medical examination, and that is pre-employment medical examination, periodic medical examination, and post-medical examination also. Then another service is supervision of the working environment, industrial hygiene, safety, job analysis, and adaptation of the job to the worker in good working conditions. Then advices to the management and workers related to health and health facilities, health education and training. So sometimes we have to use or we have to go for the compulsion in the training also related to the first aid. Nowadays, these COVID-19 precautionary measures and their health aspects, their treatment methods, do's and don'ts, or myths and facts, etc., are the different training courses which are mandatory in most of the industries. So likewise, we have to prepare these different education awareness programs, and we have to prepare these training programs and execute time to time. Then health statistics. So normally it is already in the health record registers or in the computer systems. Then medical treatment, that may be a first aid emergency treatment, or that may require some ambulance also. Then health counseling, that may be a individual health counseling, that may be a group health counseling, that may be a department health counseling, etc. So depending on the conditions and the diseases observed in that area, we have to go for these types of counseling. Nutrition. So nowadays, this is again important that in a daily routine, we are not having a particular nutrition diet, and that is why the nutrition experts are also appointed on the part-time or the full-time basis in some of the industries, especially in the multinational industries or in the large-scale industries. And nowadays, the breakfast, lunch, and dinners are decided by these nutrition experts. Family planning is another counseling part and under these occupational health services. Research in the occupational health. So that is another part, depending on situations, current situation, or if you observe some of the specific cases or specific diseases in your industry, then we have to research in that particular area how to substitute these particular chemicals or the processes and how to treat these diseases in a simple way. Then cooperation with other services in the undertaking, collaboration with the external services. So these are the different health services which are covered under the OHS, that is Occupational Health Services. The other purpose of this industrial medical services are identify the hazards, preventing or minimizing the hazards, curative treatment in case of exposure, and determining the compensation for the damages also. So we have to identify the health hazard, we have to prevent that hazard, we have to minimize that hazard, we have to go for the treatment, and we have to give the compensation what is applicable with reference to the law also. Then the services can be broadly divided into 4 phases, that is constructive medicines, preventive medicines, curative medicines, and educative medicines. So nowadays this awareness is more due to this COVID-19 pandemic, that what exactly these medicines are. Then constructive medicine mainly includes the pre-placement examination, periodic health examination, and premature medical retirements. So likewise, we can understand the different meanings and the elements which may include under the preventive, curative, and educative medicines. So what is the purpose of this periodical health examination? Because normally the industries are adopting the pre-medical examination, during medical examination, and post-medical examination, right? So generally, as per the law, minimum at least 1 periodic health examination should be there, and some industries are going to follow 2 times in a year. So to anticipate and to prevent diseases, to detect the potential illness and troubles in the time, and to assist workers in maintaining the normal health curve, we have to go for this periodical health examinations. So this includes the complete clinical checkup, X-ray of chest, vision testing, blood routine, sugar, cholesterol, urine routine, then ECG, electrocardiogram for workers above 40 years, especially. Then indirect laryngoscopy for the workers above 40 years. Then where that laryngoscopy is related to the vocal or the voice. Then spirometry for the workers employed in the dusty and smoky environment. Then audiometry, that is related to the noise again for the working in the noisy environment. So these specific treatments and the medical checkups are available in the industry. So these are the minimum level checkup which should be conducted in the periodic health examination. Then this is the rule, that is state government rule. So in the Maharashtra, that may be a Maharashtra Factory Rule 1963, and the rule number is 73W, that is occupational health services. And the similar rule is for the Gujarat Factory Rule, rule number 68T and U. And likewise, different state may have the different number of these rules, and different countries may have different sections or the acts. But the common guidelines are observed in these different rules and regulations for this medical examination and appointment of FMO, that is Factory Medical Officer. So for carrying all these activities related to the medical health checkup or treatment or prevention measures, etc., the FMO should be appointed. So that is a factory medical officers. So generally the guidelines related to these rules are, if you are having more than 200 workers, then there should be a full-time factory medical officer. If the workers are between 51 to 200, then at least part-time factory medical officers should be appointed. And if the workers are less than 50, then retainer factory medical officer for workers should be appointed. So that is the minimum requirement. Even if you want to appoint a part-time or full-time factory medical officer, even though you are having a 50 or 100 workers in your industry, then you can go ahead. So these are the different aspects of the occupational health. Thank you.